We are at
Or
Marysville
somewhere.
City
I know
Hall.
I don't want to start messing with your guys' stuff.
Ted Langdell. We are live at Marysville City Hall in Marysville, where a news conference with Marysville Police Chief Christian Sachs is about to get underway.
Well, good morning. It's with a heavy heart that I stand before you today as we mourn the tragic loss of Officer Rodate, who was killed in the line of duty this last week. It's an incredibly difficult time for our department, the city of Marysville, and the entire law enforcement community. Officer Rodate was not only a dedicated officer, but also a son, a friend, and a protector of this community. The past week has been filled with deep sorrow, and we know this pain is felt by Officer Rodate's family, friends, and fellow officers. We grieve with them, and we also stand with them. We also want to thank the Yuba-Sutter community for their outpouring support. Your kind words, gestures, and prayers mean so much during this difficult time. Our officers have been working through their own grief while continuing to serve this city with professionalism and dedication, and I could not be more proud of them. I want to thank Yuba County, Sutter County Sheriff's Departments, Yuba City Police Department, Wheatland Police Department, and the California Highway Patrol for covering the calls for service in the last 5 days, along with our dispatch communications as well. They've really stepped up to the plate and took care of the city in our absence the last 5 days to help our officers during their time of mourning. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank the emergency room staff and their medical personnel who did everything they could to save Officer Rodate's life. Their skill, dedication, and tireless efforts don't go unnoticed, and we are deeply grateful for the care that they provided in those critical moments. Their work is often done behind the scenes, but today we acknowledge and honor their commitment to saving lives, even in the most difficult circumstances. To honor Officer Rodate, flags have been lowered to half staff in Yuba and Sutter counties. This is a small but significant gesture of our collective grief and respect. We have a memorial set up out front where the community can also honor him at his patrol vehicle. I'm not at liberty to discuss the funeral arrangements until this afternoon. I know some dates have already been provided that I've heard. However, there's a team from the Yuba County Sheriff's Department who has been truly amazing in getting this set up and planned. They are doing some planning as we speak, and they will be putting out an announcement to all the media and the public later this afternoon before the close of business on the date and time set for the funeral services. We encourage those who wish to pay their respects to join us and celebrate his life and celebrate his service, not only here, but it is at his ceremony. And as we go forward, just honor and cherish him and celebrate his life the best that you can. Officer Rodate's sacrifice is a solemn reminder of the risk our officers take every day to keep our city safe. We will honor his memory by continuing to serve with the same dedication and courage that he exemplified. We ask the community to continue to support one another, especially his family and our law enforcement personnel as we navigate this difficult time together. Our officers went back in service this morning at 0600, and they are out there today keeping that legacy, keeping that fight, keeping that courage that Officer Rodate had going. And I just can't be more proud of the staff within our organization. I couldn't be more proud to be their chief, and they stand here with us, and they are fighting that good fight every day. In closing, Officer Rodarte will never be forgotten. His legacy will live in the department, in the city, and in the hearts of all those that knew him forever. So that's what I have prepared this morning. I can answer a few questions, or if the mayor or city manager would like to say a few things, I can turn it over to them. That's what I got.
I know we're still waiting to learn more about the funeral arrangements, but can you speak to whether that will be open to the public in some way or in some fashion?
Yes, the ceremony will be open to the public. It will be local, and it will be open to the public.
This may have been answered before, but there's also regard to wearing bulletproof vest with body armor at the time. Was he wearing a body worn pants?
I'm not involved in the investigation. I'm here just grieving our officer and taking care of our people. You'd have to get with the investigators that are handling that, which is the Yuba-Sutter officer involved shooting team, and they'd have to be able to answer some of those questions for you.
Has this event in any way changed the way that you think about Marysville police officers being involved in these kind of regional task force and the risk that that puts on their lives?
No, I don't. Like I prepared in a statement, and not to be like direct and blunt with you, but it doesn't change. These officers, the courage and the compassion and the bravery that they have and that they perform every day, it's a calling, right? I mean, there's 26 members on that team. Each one of them has their own calling, right? And their own specialty, and their calling is to be on that tactical team. And that was Officer Rodarte's team, and that was his calling. Whoop, sorry. I lost track of him. Did I turn that off? Sorry. I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry. I was looking when I was trying to finish answering your question. Sergeant Souza is on that team. That's his calling. I couldn't be more proud of everybody that dons that uniform and goes out there, and especially the tactical team that goes out there and the training that they're provided and their bravery and what they do every day and all those missions that they do to keep our community safe. So, no, I completely support them, and it doesn't change anything, except for we just want to give them a big hug and highlight the fact of how brave they are. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. Well, it's not about me. So it's about this department and this organization and getting our team through this tragic time, right? And I appreciate you checking on me, but it's difficult, right? I felt like I lost a son. I recruit them to come here, and he's just a very young man, and I've been with him his entire career, right? In the time that he's been here, and so yeah, I've tried to take some time, but at the end of the day, there's always been something every day that we've had to be here for, whether it's the processional to the, critical incident stress debriefings to things like that. There's so many fundraisers that are happening, and, we're out there thanking them and being a part of that. And so downtime, very little, but I can tell you that what gets us through it is being together. This not only the community, but our department is a huge family, and we're so close knit. And being around them and wrapping our arms around each other and being able to tell the funny stories, right, about Rodarte and cry together, laugh together, sit there in silence together. That's what's helped us get through the last 5 days, right? Being there for each other, being there for him, for his family. And so, at the end of the day, I'm hanging in there, right? And it's definitely need some downtime going forward, but you know what I mean? But the hardest days, are still, some of the hardest days are still yet to come. And we know that. And you can never prepare for something like this, right? You can never prepare for the grief or the mourning or how it's going to affect, 50 different employees in your organization. It affects people differently, right? But as we navigate, and then the effect that it has on our community. I mean, I walked out front the other day and there was this little boy and this little girl standing in front of his car and they had tears coming down their face. And I went over there and just gave them a hug. And come to find out, Officer Rodate had a call for service and with his parents or with their parents. And he just had such a big impact on those two kids. And then they heard of his passing and they wanted to come pay him respects, you know, and they wanted a picture in front of his car. And so we took a picture and then they showed me the picture from just months before where they had a picture with him in the same spot and they recreated it. And it just breaks your heart. But then it also fills your heart at the same time, knowing how much of an impact that he had in our community, how much of an impact he had on us, right? I mean, these guys are warriors, right? They go out there every day. They're the front line every day. They're risking their lives every single day to keep our community safe all across the nation, right? And sometimes I just don't think they get enough gratitude. Now, obviously, the outpouring of support during this time is the gratitude is overwhelming. This community is second to none by the outreach of support and everything else. And we are supported in this region. I'm just talking about globally when you talk about, that support, right? So I couldn't be more proud of them. I couldn't be more proud of them for putting on the uniform today and coming to work at 6 a.m. and getting back to business, right? And we said, oh, we're going to go back to, normal patrols. So what's normal? It's not normal because he's not here, right? But at the end of the day, it'll be a new normal because he's going to be carried on in our hearts forever. And we know that what his passion is and we're going to carry on his passion. And we're going to be out there doing the right thing for the right reasons. And we're going to keep living on, right? And we're going to live on with him in our hearts, right? Every day. So I know I probably didn't answer your question fully, but yeah, I'll take some time at some point. But my priority right now is making sure that my people are good, and I know I got to take care of myself to make sure that they're good. And we're getting some rest, but we still got a couple weeks ahead of us, So.
Chief, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the way that the Yuba-Sutter community came together in a relatively short period of time, the morning of the incident, to arrange a procession from the hospital to the mortuary, and within 24 hours of that, a procession all the way to Placer County, which also included a variety of law enforcement vehicles and aerial helicopters from different departments that were participating. Tell us a little bit about what that was, how that happened.
I think you just answered that, Ted. You explained everything to us. Yeah, well, the day of the incident, obviously, when we were taking him to the funeral home, I don't know who put it together, to be honest with you. I know somebody did, but they all rallied, right? And back the badge, Yuba-Sutter was a big part of that, I know. And the phone calls were going out. The allied agencies just started reaching out to each other. There was a lot already at the hospital from our bi-county region, and so they were already there with us. And then it just got put together, which was truly amazing. And the support in a short amount of time. The next day, when we had to take him to Placer County, yeah, I've never seen that many police cars in our city in my entire life. I've been working for this department for the last 25 years. And yeah, the outpouring of support of them showing up, right? And I think that was organized by Back the Badge and the Yuba County Sheriff's Department, and they've just been instrumental. The undersheriff and the captain over there and the sheriff have just been, I mean, second to none, standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder with me, checking on me every day, but just literally their team putting together, all this stuff. And so, yes, they did a phenomenal job of getting it together so that way we could, pay our respects and get him down to Placerville for the time being. Um, I'm sure you guys saw the route or saw most of the route, but I mean, high school kids were standing on the side of the roads to firefighters and community members on all the overpasses, all the way there to helicopters providing overwatch for the entire, route to when we got close to Roseville, I think it was somewhere down there. I don't know. It was all kind of a blur, but I mean, you had the Hard Rock that did their big billboard, but then you get down somewhere by Roseville and all the excavators at a construction site had all their buckets raised in the air with flags hanging from them. And all of the excavator operators were standing on the track saluting to, when we got over the East Street Bridge, I mean, the train stopped. The train stopped. They're honking the horns on the train or blowing the horns, however you call that. And the conductor and the crew are all standing there, saluting us as we go by with them. Traffic stopped in the opposite lanes and people were just standing outside their cars in the middle of the highway. So, yeah, super impactful. I mean, and, who put it together is an amazing team behind the scenes that I don't know all their names yet, but, when I get that opportunity, Ted, I will find out that group that did that and group of people. More than likely, most of the ones I just told you about, but if it's anything different than that, then I'll make sure that I get you that information, and that way we can thank them appropriately. But yeah,
I understand that the Marysville Public Works Department had about an hour and a half to block off D Street from 9th to 1st Street and on all the side streets. And considering what that takes, even during a normal parade situation, pretty amazing.
yeah, our public works did an amazing job, and they participated with us too in those processionals. And the one thing is that we weren't expecting to have to close down D Street, so we didn't expect it. I got a phone call from Lieutenant Nevada that morning saying, "Hey, people are already here, and it's a lot, and we need to start blocking down D Street." And I'm like, "All right, sounds good." So I thought we were blocking off D Street between 8th and 9th in front of the funeral home, and then I get there and I'm trying to navigate through traffic so I can come to the office and get the team, and it's already packed within 3 blocks of that facility. So there's just an overwhelming amount of support from, like I said, our Bi-County region, all of our local law enforcement partners, our DA's office to probation. I mean, everybody's just been, super amazing. And we're very grateful for them to help us get through this time.
Just one last question. The investigation that Officer Rodate was involved into a transnational drug trafficking organization. We've heard a lot about the rise of fentanyl on the streets around the country and here in the state of California. As police chief here in Marysville, what's your sense of the problem here in this community? And do you have a sense of which way it's trending with operations like these to enforce the law?
Fentanyl is on our streets, right? It's in the streets of society everywhere. And it's unfortunate the amounts that are there. I understand that there's a lot of, enforcement that's happening at the borders, and it's making it better and less to be coming into our communities, but it's still here, right? And we're not going to stop giving up the fight to take it off our streets and make our communities safer. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll be completely transparent with you. It starts at our legislature and the broken system. If we had a better system in place, if there was better legislation at the Capitol, and instead of some of the bills and stuff that we see come down the line that are absolutely ridiculous, and that's what they're focusing their time on instead of the well-being and the safety of the people in our community, then our communities would be a lot better off, because the fact that we would have those stricter laws in order to be able to have that enforcement, right? We can only do so much enforcement, right? But if the penalty is not there, or the legislation is not there to back up the bravery and the work that the men and women are doing every day, then we're still doing the enforcement, right? And it doesn't stop. So where we start seeing the, making a bigger difference is continuing that enforcement to make our community safer, but also at the Capitol, they need to figure out a little bit better way of how they spend their time and what bills are coming across their desk for legislation, right? When it comes to drugs, when it comes to harsher penalties. In my professional opinion, the gentleman should have never have been out of jail. And yet here we are. Let me ask you a question, sir. Can I ask you a question? And to you guys. And my question is this. How many times are you guys reporting on shootings where officers have been shot or other people have been shot? How many times have you guys reported on violent crimes that we watch all the time on TV, you guys reporting on? And guess what? The suspect was just released from state prison, or early release, right? Or wasn't supposed to be there. You do that a lot, don't you? Every one of you do. And yet here we are again, mourning the loss of Officer Rodate because of the same circumstances. Hopefully they wake up in Sacramento and they just figure it out someday, right? That it's not about these smaller little bills about stuff that's just nonsense that we see coming across the board, and actually get some folks in there that actually want to make it better for our communities, right? And have those harsher penalties and stick with it. Give us the tools to be able to do that. Because unfortunately, if we don't do that, and God help us, and hope it never happens again to any other officer in the state, right? But we probably will be here again. You will be there again, not we. Oh God, I hope we never are again. But some you guys are going to be there again. You're going to be asking that question again if they just don't wake up. And it's going to be unfortunate. But I can tell you that we have a supportive city that stands behind us on that. I know I've had some conversation with our city leadership in reference to that, and we're not stopping. We're not backing down from this. We're gonna make those statements. We're gonna push forward. We're gonna put some pressure on some people in Sacramento and figure out what do we need to do to finally make. I mean, they just got to wake up.
Two more final questions, sir.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can you speak directly to our legislators? What would you say?
If I could speak directly to them, just what I just said, right? We need the tools in the legislation, and there has to be that backup in the legislation in order for us to be able to, when we're doing our job in law enforcement and they're out there putting their lives on the line every single day, we're making those arrests, but they're getting out and they're staying out, or early releases, right? The goal is to not have them early released and them out committing more violent crimes when they should be incarcerated, right? So for our legislators to be able to pass the right laws with the right legislation and have that backup for it, so we're not having the early releases, right? We're not having, or we're having harsher penalties on when it comes to fentanyl that's poisoning our streets, but yet, if there's harsher penalties on things, and I understand it takes other programs, but build those programs, put our priorities somewhere, right? Our refocus priorities, right? Because they're not all on the same page. Everybody in there wants to make a name for themselves, and they all want to have a bill that they pass, right? Or an assembly bill or a Senate bill that they want to pass with their name behind it, you know, to say, oh, this is what I did. Frankly, who cares? Why not get on the same page? If fentanyl is poison in our streets, if methamphetamine is poison in our streets, if there's early release stuff and there's other legislation that needs to happen, then all get on the same page and let's start making a difference by collaboration and communication and putting all those things together so we can start making a difference in those and making those things the way that they need to be, instead of everybody working in their own silo and wanting their name on a little bill here and there and there. Where does that get us? It gets us to these press conferences and it gets us talking about this again. And how many times have you guys heard that conversation? And yet we're here again, asking the same questions, saying the same things. To be honest with you, that's the definition of an insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Right? When are they going to stop going around and around and around and around? And when are we just going to stop the train and go, let's everybody get on board? Right? We'd be much better off. But it's not going to stop the fight that these men and women do every day, though. Look at them. Look at them. They're here. They're back in service today. I couldn't be more proud of them. I couldn't be more proud to be their chief. They're here, right? And they're standing for what's right. And they're going to go out there and they're going to be doing their job, every single one of them. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely, it's hard. It's hard for us to come back. But we know that's what we need to do, not only for Rodate, but for ourselves and our community and what we signed up to do, right? That's our passion. That's our calling. So I just hope that other people see this out there in Sacramento and they finally just stop the train and get on board. You know what I mean? There can be differences made. It's just if they choose to make them. We'll see where their priorities at when we start making those calls and we start going down that road. But that's for another time. Now we continue to mourn the loss of Officer Rodate and honor him as we do that from now up until his service, and then after that as well, and keep him in our hearts. So I appreciate you guys coming today. I really do. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys highlighting him, you know, for the last 5 days and everything about him, and keeping all of us in our thoughts and prayers. And, you know, I've talked to some of you offline a little bit out in front of the department, and you guys have been super respectful about not wanting to get an interview right away, but just being there just to listen. And that's been super amazing too. So I really do appreciate you guys and appreciate taking the time today. I don't know if anybody else wanted to say anything, but I think I'm done for today.
I had just some short comments. As a city manager, I have a responsibility for the community. One of our goals, the city's goals, and probably the most important goals, is to ensure public safety. And this is what we're talking about. Now the chief and his officers are out there every day dealing with traffic violations, minor issues. But somebody asked, I believe you asked, if this was going to change their attitude towards participating on regional teams. And in this case, I think you're talking about the SWAT teams. As the chief said, it's not going to change their attitude. It's their duty. And both officers that were involved in that SWAT team stepped up and took on that duty. One unfortunately did not make it. I think more importantly, we need to think about the community's attitude. And as I said, one of our major goals is public safety. But I think we get, including myself, somewhat lax. And we forget what those officers are exposed to every day. The potential to lose their life or one of their partner's lives. And so, though I don't think our department's attitude is going to change about fighting crime and the more difficult situations. I think everybody in the community has supported them, and it reminds us of what they do every day, and I think it is a good reminder, albeit not a good way. The death was not good, but it reminds us how much we should be supporting them and how much each and every one of those officers and their families go through every day to protect this community. I also wanted to say that the city has been praying for the family and the friends and all of the officers on the police force, including the chief. And there was mention of who organized all of this this logistics, and what I saw was the entire community pulled together on this. The sheriff's department took the lead, but it has been unbelievable how many agencies, police departments, sheriffs, businesses, residents, nonprofits have supported this and naturally just came together to support our department and the officer's family. So I wanted to thank each and every one of those who had helped in this effort, and the city is very grateful he did so. Thank you.
You've been watching a news conference with Jim Shad, who was preceded by Marysville Police Chief Chris Sachs. I'm Ted Langdell, and we are here at Marysville City Hall, where the flags are currently being flown at half-staff and will continue to do that. Funeral arrangements are being put together, and we hope to hear more about that. We understand that's being handled by the Yuba County Sheriff's Department. And here at Marysville City Hall, it is definitely a somber day as the city continues to mourn the death of Officer Rodate. And we thank all of you. We had at least 51 people watching on Facebook, and I'm sure others watching on YouTube. We appreciate your doing that. If there is something that you can do to help the family, there are a number of things that are going on in the area. There was a Harley Davidson. He was apparently a motorcycle rider, and he was honored by a fundraiser at the local Harley Davidson store over in Yuba City over the weekend. So there may still be an opportunity to contribute there, but if you look on social media or do Googling, you will find more about what is happening to support Officer Osmar Rodate's family at their time of great grief. We will be letting you know as soon as we can about funeral arrangements, which Chief Sachs says will be open to the public. We don't know yet the location, time, date, place, but we will pass that on to you. And if the family is amenable to doing so, we will try to live stream that for you. So, as things go on, government meetings will be taking place here in this location tomorrow. That is Marysville City Hall. And at 9 o'clock, actually the Yuba Water Agency meeting gets underway. They have a number of things going on, but it should be a fairly short meeting. They have a presentation from the Yuba County Resource Conservation District. City of Marysville here at City Hall has a fairly short meeting. Everything is on the consent agenda. But Yuba City Council has a number of important things going on at 6 o'clock, and we will be bringing you those live right here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. The weather is expected to get a little bit better. We are anticipating 60 degrees later today, but it is likely to be showery. We'll have some gusty winds to 32 miles an hour, and overnight 45 degrees with 60% chance of showers likely. Tuesday, 60 degrees the high with an 80% chance of rain, and then on Tuesday night, things begin to change with 38, partly cloudy, and it should be 63 and sunny on Wednesday. From Marysville City Hall, I'm Ted Langdell on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. We are kind of your local version of C-SPAN, and what we fondly remember as Channel 5 and Channel 19 on our local cable system. So we hope that you're able to have a good afternoon today, and we will be back on Tuesday with our schedule. Live from Marysville City Hall, Ted Langdell on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. It's the truth that comes through.